Again.
Sure. We, just the uniqueness of it. We were looking for a holiday tournament around Thanksgiving. We didn't really find one that was that fit into our schedule and our needs of opponents. So we just kind of went out and kind of made our own little personal classic where we're going to have to play back-to-back days. And we're able to get two opponents who've got NCAA tournament aspirations in Belmont and Sam Houston to come in here and play back-to-back on Saturday, Sunday. We had to move the Sunday game when the men's game went on TV to a late tip. So looking for a good weekend. Two good quality opponents. Belmont obviously opened the season with a big win at Ole Miss and has played one of the tougher schedules in the country to date, and Sam Houston coming off a big win in their last game.
Paul, go ahead, man.
Yeah, just kind of kick off the fact that that Belmont has played Central Florida here, in this past week. So kind of contrast that. I mean, it gives you a look at two opponents, right?
Yeah, but you can't watch them for each other because Central Florida plays all zone. So it didn't really help us watching. I'll watch that one last. I will save that one and watch it. But yeah, it gives us some contrast. I think the Ole Miss game gives our kids the biggest. Okay, because Ole Miss, has beaten us the last times we played. So I think that's the eye opener that you hope they look at, recognize, not to look past Sam Houston, but yeah, those types of things the kids do pay attention to, and it gives you a gauge, when you're watching on film, because we know how fast certain players are when you're comparing common opponents. But I'll get to that Central Florida Belmont game after the weekend.
How about the other thing how about playing on back-to-back nights? I mean, what does that give you? And the other thing, this kind of slides back to our other conversation about starting lineups. Does that influence what you do as far as lineups playing back-to-back days?
I think you're going to see us start to settle in now. We've kind of finished our, I don't want to use the word experiment, but it's the only word I know to use. I mean, we've been messing with it. Sure. And I think as a result, it's caused us to have moments where we have lack of flow a little bit. So we got to get to that point. We need to get to where we settle into what our rotations and our roles are going to be. You can't go through the full season like that and have expectations of the kids to all of a sudden develop it. And we've got to see, can Mac play 30 minutes, 35 minutes if we need her to, things like that. So starting this weekend, I think you'll start to see some things shake out and settle in. And the experiments will be less, and now it'll be more identifying, who can come in and be an amplifier for us, and who's good at getting us off to a great start. Let them settle in with what they've been proven that they can do best, and not ask kids to do things they can't. You can't make a starter out of a kid who's not meant to be a starter. So let's figure out what everybody's piece and role is going to be, and then let's start working on making sure. Again, our goal was always the end of non-conference to have that stuff figured out. And I think this is kind of that next little transition period where you might not see a fluctuation in the starting lineup as much as we've been having.
Okay. Russell, go ahead.
You said Monday night after the game, you're interested to see how they respond after the kind of the rotation gets cut down a little bit. Have you seen any of that just yet and through practice?
Yeah, it's starting to a little bit, it's starting to, come up, but not yet like it will when you start into games. I think if every one of our kids objectively sat down and really looked at it objectively, which is hard to do these days, they've all played about the same number of possessions with each other. It's hard for them to see all that because they don't look at it near as in depth as we do and scrutinize everything quite like we do. But I think the biggest challenge of that will come when it's actual game playing time. We still played a lot of people. Some minutes were cut a little bit. We're starting to see some things, but nowhere near where I know the challenge will be when game time is where they're proving it. So I think we're probably still a couple of weeks out from that, Russell, but we are starting to kind of scratch the surface of that a little bit.
What do you want to improve upon, I guess, this weekend with these two games and kind of clean up maybe from the SMU game if there was something to, that was an issue in that game?
Yeah, there's two that jump out. We're continuing to miss shots that I think we can make. So rather than just keep talking about doing it, I really turned the lens to figuring out why. And I think it's because the way I've been doing practice. We haven't been going live as much in practice the last few weeks against pressure to make a shot. You're doing it without defense, because I was more concerned with our conditioning and things like that. We got a little bit too far away maybe from some of the competition. And as a result, I think we missed some layups in the last 3 games. So I think that's my fault, and I'll get that fixed. We started with it today a little bit. We'll carry that over even more. We've got to start making some of those shots. We're not shooting over 30% from the 3-point line. And that just does not equate with me right now, because we've got too much slippage from practice to game. So we either need to start taking better shots, or we need to change the distribution a little bit, because we're not going to survive in the league shooting under 30%. Certainly, we left too many points out there, specifically in the SMU game, but it's been a constant thing. We missed a bunch at UConn, and then we missed a few at Arkansas State, and we've been talking about it. But to be solutional, I think it falls on us as coaches to put them in more competitive scenarios in practice to where they have to go against pressure. So I want to see that cleaned up, making things that we can, and then just defensively, we still have some, these moments where the kids are going, this, my fault, my bad, we got to get them more reps to where those are more limited. SMU did a great job. Every time we did something wrong, they made us wrong. And we know that, when you start in the South Carolinas, you make 4 mistakes and all of a sudden that's 12 points. And that's a really deep hole to come out from. So a lot of cleanup, and then adjusting. I think we're going to have to adjust to those roles that we're coming into, but we got to get that done before honestly, before we go to Central Florida, because that's going to be a big challenge for sure.
CJ, go ahead.
Coach, you talked about adjusting. How you think Jersey is adjusting to the college game? I see she didn't play that many minutes last game.
Well, she was hurt. She was injured. She was sick. I don't know if you noticed that. She didn't play at Arkansas State at all. She still wasn't 100%. So she's adjusting just like most freshmen do. Speed of the game, doing great. We're getting together a plan so that she'll feel good. No players I've ever coached have ever played good that didn't feel good. So we're going to make sure she's feeling good before we put her into a situation that she's not ready to go out there and be 100% in. That's just not fair to the kid. I check in with her every single day to walk by her, ask her for a fair assessment on percentage. And then I take about 30% of that off, because kids are they're going to amp it up a little bit. So if she says 65, then I'll say it's more like 35. If she's 100, it's 75. So, everybody just with Jersey, everybody's so excited to see those flashes that we saw the other night. Like, she drove it right past that kid, but her back spasms up on her, and it's hard to make the shot when your back is spasming. So we're going to get all that worked out. And, some of that's biology and physiology on the kids still continuing to grow. And we're stretching, we're doing yoga, we're doing everything we can do to make sure that she's 100% feels right before we try to put her in a situation where we're expecting, because the expectations on her are so high. And the last thing I want to do is let anybody see that kid out there less than 100%. I'll probably give her, if she gets to 90, we'll probably let it go. But until then, it's my job to protect the kid. And I'm going to keep doing that.
And Coach, 11 for 27 free throws last week. Was it a big emphasis this week in practice about free throws?
Went the other way with it. I think the more you emphasize it, the worse it gets. We took the pressure off. We've done, it was a little bit of a fluke because we have shot it a little bit better. But no, I think going that way just brings more emphasis to it. So we do a lot of shooting drills. We do a lot of competitive deals. I just actually left them to shoot free throws. And I said, we're not charting it. We're not keeping the score. Step up there and make 2 and rotate. So take a little bit of that game type pressure. What it is, we have a group of pleasers. We have a group of kids who wants to please the fans, their friends, their teammates, their coaches, you guys, everybody. And they just build it up so much. And I'm just trying to get them to relax a little bit, because they're all good shooters. But that was very it was painful for all of us. I mean, I took Steve Kerr when Draymond Green got on Steve Kerr. I kind of took it personal because I know I'm bad about what he was talking about. So man, I was over there making sure I was like, miss free throw, okay, no emotion, just because I don't want Draymond Green calling me out. But it was hard because it's kids that can make free throws, and 11 for 27 was very uncharacteristic, and it's what made that thing, you know, a very close game into the fourth quarter. A game that could have been a comfortable, you know, situation was anything but comfortable. But I don't want to take that aggressiveness away from them, because sometimes when you're struggling from the foul line, you know what they'll do? They'll stop trying to get fouled. They'll stop trying to get fouled. So I definitely don't want that to be the result of this. So we tried to de-emphasize it a little bit. We'll see if it works, TJ.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Happy
Thanks, guys.
Thanksgiving, buddy.
All right. See y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.